latest on Puff Daddy and Tara Reid? Is it 2002? Welcome back to Mighty Race Later, where we're here for a good time, not a long time. So let's get into it. Tara Reid is back in the tabloids, and I'm really glad she's okay and has nothing worse than a hangover to deal with. The week before Thanksgiving, she woke up in a hospital bed after allegedly being drugged. The police have viewed the surveillance video and interviewed witnesses, but there is no evidence that anything was slipped into her drink. The hospital took blood samples and they are awaiting those results. In the meantime, I think we can safely assume that she did not become incoherent and stumbling from one glass of wine. There was something else in her system, either slipped in or self-inflicted. Tara had been at a fan event alongside other former famous people who need the money. Afterwards, she went back to her hotel and grabbed a drink at the bar. She was sipping white wine and an influencer sat down next to her. They began talking and eventually went outside to smoke. Next thing she remembers is waking up in a hospital bed. Given Tara's history as a party girl who's been to rehab, the jokes are really writing themselves. But Tara has complained in recent years that she did nothing wrong in the early 2000s when she became a tabloid punchline. Tara was a normal 24-year-old who was enjoying herself. She was just doing it on camera. And let's be honest, E really owes her an apology for Taradise. But now she's 50, and at least in corporate America, the rule at work events is don't be the story. That means you don't go have a cigarette with your new bestie and leave your drink unattended. That means you don't scream about how famous you are to onlookers. And that definitely means you don't hang out at the DoubleTree by the airport. In other crimes that totally happened, right-wing podcaster Tim Pool took to X to say that someone opened fire on his home earlier this month. He claims his security gate and armed guards scared the person off. You have armed guards but no cameras? Seems totally legit and not at all for attention. It's another week, so of course we have another leak from the Justin Baldoni-Blake Lively lawsuit. This week, it's that Justin told Blake he was circumcised. This feels like a weird thing for a boss to tell an employee. But at the time, Justin wasn't her boss. This conversation took place months before filming started and before Blake officially signed on to the movie. We'll know in March when trial starts, but I still think the sexual harassment claims are weak. It's the retaliation claims that I think have the potential to really harm Justin and team. And before I completely fangirl over 50 Cent, let's talk about the Tkachuk brothers. They are both NHL players and just launched a podcast that was marketed as hockey's version of New Heights. But these boys are not Jason and Travis Kelce. These boys are 26 and 28. Every other word is fuck. And during last week's episode, they introduced a new segment where they define hockey slang. They started off by saying this was for the benefit of the listening audience, but quickly quipped that they hate that these terms are used by people who they don't deem worthy, and ended their rambling with declaring there is nothing worse than when girls call a player by their nickname. Maybe this was sexist and the antithesis of growing the game. Or maybe Chucky just really hates when women call him Turtle Boy. Now, onto the highlight of my week. Sean Combs' The Reckoning is on Netflix. This 4-part docuseries, executive produced by 50 Cent, is everything I wanted it to be. 50 is a petty man, and although it would be easy to say it's a hit piece, it's not. It is fairly told, at least to this viewer, and it tells the story of a wannabe gangster turned music mogul. There is very little narration. It's told through the lens of interviews and news clippings from the past 30 years. The most interesting part is how much of this is from Diddy's own mouth. In addition to all the interviews and private recordings, Diddy hired a videographer to follow him the week before he was arrested in New York City. The footage includes him riding his bike through Midtown Manhattan, smiling for pictures, and screaming at his lawyers. The thing is, Diddy never secured the rights to that footage, so 50 Cent bought it. I could talk about this for hours, but I'll keep it short for now. My biggest takeaways are, Diddy was a marketing genius. He knew how to style and promote artists. But since he wasn't a great musician himself, he was very jealous of those with talent. He put himself in everyone's music videos. He rapped opening lyrics. He made sure everyone thought of him as the star. No doubt in my mind that he paid to have Tupac killed, and he has Biggie's blood on his hands. Ultimately, I now understand why he was acquitted. For so many of the people who were interviewed, I got the distinct impression they hated Diddy and they thought he was an ass, but they would still kill for him. They knew he beat every girlfriend. They knew they were drugged regularly while working for him, but they kept their mouths shut because they wanted to be in his orbit. And it's really hard to convict a guy for coercion when everyone was so eager to go back for more. I highly recommend watching the whole docuseries, if only to see Diddy absolutely lose his mind over cheesecake and his assistants taking his chains on and off like he's some 18th century Viscount getting dressed for the ball.